What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over several things that you're going to want to do before Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 2. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, comment down below what you have thought of Season 1, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything. It's EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So this is a type of video I pretty much always make towards the end of a Fortnite season, because I do think there are several things you can change about how you're playing in these final few days that can not only help you improve at the game and play better once Season 2 does drop, but also have a more enjoyable experience when Season 2 does come and enjoy these final few days of Season 1 as well. So when it comes to a new Fortnite season, we don't know exactly what is going to change, but there will likely be several changes to the map. We're still going to be on this same map, but some of the POIs will be replaced with new, different POIs. And then also there will be several changes to the loot pool as well. So the two most important things I think you should do before Season 2 comes is to try out different weapons and to try out different POIs. Because with weapons, if you have been set in your ways about using certain items and you've only been using those for the entirety of Season 1, then when a change does happen, it could be pretty difficult for you to adapt. And we've kind of been forced to do this recently because the Deadeye AR was the most popular kind of medium to long range weapon throughout the entirety of the season, and it was recently vaulted. And so lots of players have had to switch to like either the Flex SMG, the MK7, or even the Enforcer AR, because of the Deadeye AR being vaulted. And that's just kind of like a taste of what could potentially be happening in Season 2 with the loot pool. I know a lot of players for the first few days, and maybe even, the entire time the Deadeye AR was vaulted, they really struggled to adapt and they really struggled to play with anything else because they were very set into that one playstyle. And there's always a meta. Everyone always kind of has their preferred items that you use most of the time. But in these final few days, I think it is ideal to kind of change it up and use some of the different items in the loot pool, because we don't know what will be going and what will be staying when Season 2 does drop. Ted Timmons, the guy who's kind of in charge of Battle Royale, did post that a majority of the loot pool would be changing. So it's probably best to just assume everything you like in this loot pool is going to be gone. And so hypothetically, if you're someone who's been using like the twin hammer shotguns the entire time, trying to use the iron pump for these final few days can be, something different and fun to kind of make these final few days of Season 1 fresh and refreshing. But it would also help you kind of hit the ground running if Season 2 does drop and it's like a pump meta, right? Some other weapons that would be examples of this would maybe be like the arc lightning gun and the lock-on AR. If you've only been spamming the lock-on AR ever since it was added, your aim might feel a little bit rusty when it comes to using actual guns. And so trying to use some different things for these final few days, I think will open you up to potentially adapting better to when Season 2 does drop. Because the loot pool is likely going to change. And so if you only use a specific style of weapon, and that's like what you've been kind of locked into for this entire season or a majority of the time you've played Fortnite, kind of going outside of that and trying to get used to some of the other items can help you adapt easier, because you already have like kind of some experience with that style of weapon. First person AR to third person AR would be an example of this, but we kind of had to deal with that recently with the Deadeye being vaulted. But I think also shotguns, if you've only used spammy shotguns, trying to get used to pumps can help you a lot. If you've been using the pump the entire season, you could keep doing that, or you can switch it up, but it's typically kind of easier for someone to adapt from like a pump meta to an auto shotgun meta than it is for the auto shotgun player to adapt to the pump style, just because pumps are a bit harder to use. POIs go the same way. We don't really know what changed on the map or what will be changing on the map when Season 2 does come, but it'll likely be several POIs. And so if you've only been landing at one spot the entire time, not only is it going to hurt you when Season 2 comes, because you're going to feel uncomfortable landing at, you're going to be uncomfortable landing at the new places because they're new, and then you're going to be uncomfortable landing at the other places because you don't know them, because you didn't learn them. That's going to make it harder for you to play in Season 2, right? But it's also going to make it more frustrating to play, I think. Some of my least favorite Fortnite seasons early on were when I had just like kind of one POI I wanted to go to the entire time, and then it got removed. Chapter 1, Season 7, Greasy Grove got destroyed. And my opinion of Season 7 was lower than it should have been, just because I was salty that Greasy Grove got removed, because it was like the only place I wanted to go to at the time. So learning different POIs will help you adapt to this change potentially if your main POI does get removed. And it will also, again, make these final few days something that's more fresh and different rather than, you know, being the same old. Especially with this being a long season, I think a lot of people are ready for change, and that will be coming soon with season 2. But you can also kind of give yourself some own personal change these final few days by trying different weapons and trying different loot spots, and kind of give yourself a leg up when season 2 does eventually drop. I think also potentially changing some settings, this can be a decent time for it. So if you feel comfortable with your settings, you like your sensitivity and you like your keybinds, there's not as much of a reason to change. You're good there. But, you know, if you felt like your sensitivity is too slow, but you just haven't felt like adjusting it, or you felt like your sensitivity is too fast, but you haven't felt like adjusting it, or, you know that your keybinds aren't optimal and there's things that you want to change, but you just haven't gotten around to it because it's just like not an exciting thing to do. Getting used to setting changes is something that I personally don't like doing. I'm sure there's many others like that. Now would be a decent time to do that, because who cares if you suck for the final few days of the season? You know, if you have enough time to get used to it before season 2 drops, obviously. But if you play a bit worse for the final few days of the season, who really cares? Normally, towards the end of the season like this, people are burnt out and they're bored anyways. They don't really care anymore. Who cares if you get, you know, a few extra crowns on this season? Whereas changing these settings can help you become better in the long run and help you play even better when season 2 does drop. And again, give you something different to work towards and make these final few days exciting, because I personally don't like changing settings, but there is like that degree of satisfaction once you do finally start to feel good with the new settings. So if there are changes that you think you should make or that you've wanted to make, maybe do that with your settings. Don't force it though. There's obviously those people out there that are just constantly changing settings. That's not what I'm saying with this video. If you're happy with what you got, that's excellent. But if you've known that there's changes you want to make, now would be a pretty good time to do it. And then some of the final points kind of go hand in hand with that as well. The next is just going to be playing aggressive. I've talked countless times on this channel about how I think the biggest mistake a lot of players make, and the thing that holds a lot of people back from improving, is that they play very safe and very passive, trying to get wins. As I just said though, it's the final few days of the season. Who cares if you have a few more wins at the end of the season, or who cares if your win percentage goes down a bit because you start playing more aggressive? Getting in fights and playing aggressive is, I think, the most important thing to actually improve at the game and improve at fighting and just getting those reps in. And now can be a good time to do that, because who really cares? The season is about to end. Again, if you're someone who's bored and burnt out, changing your playstyle like this is something that can make the game feel more fresh and more exciting, and give you something different to work towards other than just battle pass level and crowns. And then finally, the thing I want to talk about is just going to be to try other game modes and potentially some creative maps. Again, as I've said countless times, you're probably bored, you're probably burnt out. Does it really matter if you get a few more wins this season? Probably not. And so now would be a good time to try a mode like Reload if you haven't played it, or try a mode like Blitz if you haven't really played it, and get experience in these other game modes, because they do have their own merit in terms of, like, you know, ways to help you improve, because they're much faster paced, but also they provide completely different loot pools, which adapting to these loot pools and using some of these guns might make it easier to use the season 2 weapons when they do drop, if they're somewhat similar to these. These modes also have different forms of mobility, which again, familiarizing yourself with that could help you when those other items do end up coming in. Creative is the same way. There's a lot of maps here where you can fight with little to no downtime and just get in countless fights. And if you're someone who's avoided creative for whatever reason, these final few days of the season, try some creative death matches and just get in a bunch of fights and get those reps in, and you will improve a lot faster just getting in fight after fight after fight after fight with like basically no downtime, you know? So I've always been an advocate for creative being the best way to improve. Some people don't like it because I see people always say like the wins don't count and things like that. There's a few days left in the season. If you finish with 5 less wins or whatever it's going to be, does it really matter that much? Probably not. But if you get better by playing creative and getting in a lot of fights, then that's something that's going to make it easier for you to get a lot of wins in season 2. And in these final few days, you're probably bored anyways, and these other modes might be more appealing just because it's something different. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, comment down below what you thought of season 1. I actually thought it was a very good season. It was longer than I would have liked for sure, and the South Park update wasn't my favorite, but kind of before South Park and after South Park, I thought this season was pretty good. And I'm very happy that the final few weeks had these wild week changes that actually really shook up the meta and made the game feel very different. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.